Hugo Calderano has created history by becoming the first ever Pan-American to ever win the World Cup in the sport of table tennis. Defeating the world number 1 Lin Shidong 4-1 in the final, he also earlier defeated the world number 2 Wang Chuqin in the semi-final, despite being 1-3 down in games and 2-love down in the 5th game. This is also the first time in 8 years since 2017 where the World Cup isn't won by a Chinese player. This has led to many discussions and doubts about the Chinese team. Is the Chinese dominance finally over? Is China really vulnerable without Ma Long and Fan Zhendong? Hello, welcome to Golden Table Tennis. In this video, we are going to talk about what this historic loss means for the future of Chinese table tennis. Ever since Fan Zhendong and Ma Long announced their withdrawal from the world rankings, the table tennis community has never really been peaceful. A lot of people still didn't quite move on from the incident. Many are now saying that this World Cup loss is a karma for CTTA, the Chinese Table Tennis Association, for being responsible for Fan Zhendong's departure from the world stage. CTTA was accused of forcing Fan Zhendong to retire to pave the way for Wang Chuqin to become the next Grand Slam champion. CTTA knew that Wang Chuqin isn't better than Fan Zhendong, so the only possible way for Wang Chuqin to achieve a Grand Slam is to get rid of Fan Zhendong. That's why a lot of people are actually happy that the Chinese lost this cup. Not because they root for Hugo or the healthy development of the sport, but because they see this as justice being served to Fan Zhendong, and this is the price that CTTA has to pay. Honestly, there has never been any reliable sources that claim that Fan Zhendong's withdrawal from the world rankings was planned by CTTA. It's honestly a conspiracy theory that surprisingly circled around the media strongly up to the point where most people think that it is true. This conspiracy makes no sense. China has always treated table tennis like a national treasure. Losing to a foreigner is like a taboo in the Chinese table tennis tradition, and it is unacceptable. China always emphasized on winning everything in table tennis. So why would they intentionally weaken their lineup just to create an artificial Grand Slam? I think a lot of these theories are just made up by Fan Zhendong's die-hard fans or Wang Chuqin's haters, and those who believe it is probably the same group of people as well. It is not something new. There have been rumors floating around for a while now, like how Fan Zhendong was supposedly being held back from playing in certain tournaments just so that Wang Chuqin could climb the rankings, or how he was even denied proper medical treatment within the Chinese national team, but no credible sources has ever confirmed any of these. What's kind of ironic is that these so-called fans don't even believe what their idol himself has said. In an Olympic interview, Fan Zhendong basically hinted that his future might not involve table tennis anymore. Ma Long, who clearly sensed something was off, encouraged him to keep going and even joked that Fan Zhendong should break his records. But Fan Zhendong playfully replied that Ma Long wasn't being honest. It's clear that something is going on with him, maybe stress, burnout, or just losing his passion for the sport. But instead of accepting that fact, a lot of fans choose to believe it's all part of some bigger scheme. They insist his words aren't his own and that he's being silenced or forced by the coaches to say what he did. At that point, it's not about supporting a player anymore, it's just being ignorant and refusing to accept the reality. Honestly, this win from Hugo should be seen as a historical moment that every enthusiastic table tennis fan should celebrate. Table tennis titles are no longer exclusive to China, as the standard of table tennis around the world has increased. Now, every nation around the globe, be it Asia, Europe, or even Africa, has advanced techniques and strategies which allow them to fend off against the Chinese. I don't think that this loss from the World Cup means that China has gotten weaker, but more about the world getting stronger. Thinking back, the only reason why China was so dominant in the sport back then is because, honestly speaking, they had somehow discovered all the knowledge to excel in the sport. They came out with the best techniques which allowed them to play with more power, more spin, and more speed than any other players around the world, to the point where any other nations apart from China looked like a 6-year-old kid started playing months ago and going up against a national player when playing against China. This situation got so bad that many nations back then even started thinking about quitting the sport completely. It got so out of hand that China literally need to send diplomatic help, sending coaches overseas and sharing their secrets, so the whole world would have a better chance against China. Fast forward today, we are starting to see China being challenged on both the men's and women's side. On the women's side, we have the greats of Japan like Hina Hayata and Miwa Harimoto, who can send threat to the Chinese, and in a couple of occasions they even took them down. On the men's side, it seems more competitive, as it seems like any players from any nations can stand a chance against the Chinese, and has beaten the Chinese a whole lot more on the men's side. While most of the titles today at the end of the day still goes to China, the stakes are much higher now, and even if China wins, they don't dominate and they don't win as much as they used to anymore. We can't please everyone at the end of the day. Some people are saying that the Chinese are getting weaker and weaker, and they see this as something negative and they are heavily dislike of it, while others see this as a blessing, as they can finally see other people from other nations win. A Chinese versus Chinese matches or a Chinese winner is getting boring to them. I don't really see this as deterioration, more like we have witnessed and experienced the great era of Ma Long, which I honestly do not think anyone can replicate his achievements for a very long time. It's like a high score when playing a game. Subway Surfers, Temple Run, whatever. You set a high score which is so high that it may not be beaten in months. Back to sports. World records in athletics are not easily beaten. Some have stayed there for decades without being broken. And even in table tennis, as strong as Fan Zhendong is, I think he was the start of the deterioration, since he was never really better than Ma Long in terms of achievements nor head-to-head. He was always inferior to Ma Long, and the only reason why he got where he is today was due to Ma Long stepping away due to injury and later due to age. But it's kind of hard to argue that he was ever better than Ma Long. Anyway, in my opinion, we need to start looking at table tennis a little differently moving forward. We honestly gotten so used to China winning everything that now it feels almost like a crime when they don't. People are so used to foreigners not being able to beat China that when it finally happens, they don't credit them, they just say that China is playing badly or China is deteriorating. That mindset needs to change. Players from other countries deserve way more credit than what they are receiving right now. We are also way too used to watching insane high-level table tennis from legends like Ma Long, so now when we watch anyone else, they just seem average, like small fry compared to him. But honestly, Ma Long was one of a kind. His achievements are not normal, they are once in a generation. It's like Einstein. Has there really been a more well-known or more respected scientist after him? Not really. Even decades after his death, most people still see Einstein as the greatest scientist of all time. Nobody's really surpassed him. Hugo Calderano also played a perfect tournament. In context, he not only defeated both Chinese players, but he also defeated the world number 1, world number 2, as well as the world number 3, Tomokazu Harimoto. None of his opponents in the tournament can get more than one set against him except for Wang Chuqin, and even that match where more than one set was dropped, it was an incredible comeback. So give Hugo some credit. Anyway, I'll leave it to you guys. What do you think about China's loss at the World Cup? And how do you feel about the future of table tennis world? Drop your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.